Are you ready to transform your summer into an epic splash-tastic adventure? Say goodbye to wasteful, single-use water balloons and hello to the ultimate in reusable, eco-friendly fun with reusable water balloons. Check out the link in the video description to get yours on Amazon today.
Guilty, proclaimed a jury at St. Albans Crown Court in Hertfordshire on Thursday, June 29, 1972. Over 9 days, the men and women had heard in shocking detail how Graham Young murdered 2 colleagues and attempted to kill others with lethal doses of poison. But the jury had one more shock in store. Once proceedings were over, a jury is not allowed to know of previous convictions during a trial. They were informed that Young's morbid fascination with death was nothing new. The 24-year-old had attempted to murder several people with poison as a teenage boy. The authorities knew, but through a tragic error had let Young be freed to fulfill his sick fantasies once more. Born in Neasden, London on September 7, 1947, Young was obsessed with toxicology, Adolf Hitler and black magic from a young age. He was known as the Mad Professor by classmates and often wore a swastika on his shirt. The twisted schoolboy initially stole poison from his school and killed wild frogs and his pet cat with his concoctions. He began to target humans in 1961, which was, ironically, when Agatha Christie released her novel Pale Horse, in which a killer poisons their victims. By February 1961, many of Young's family members had fallen ill after drinking cups of tea. His father developed stomach cramps, his sister had hallucinations, and his stepmother vomited repeatedly. Young's aunt, aware of the teenager's collection of toxicology books, and his teacher, who found poison stashed in his desks, alerted the authorities. Young was arrested on May 23, 1962, and admitted to poisoning his father, stepmother, sister, and a school friend. He also directed police to his stash of poisons, hidden by the Welsh Harp Reservoir in Brent. The teenager said his determination to poison people grew, like a drug habit, and that he relished the power he experienced in each instance. Dr. Christopher Fysh, the psychiatrist who examined him, noted the boy had failed to develop a normal moral sense and warned it was extremely likely he would reoffend. As it was, Young was sent to Broadmoor Hospital in Berkshire, a facility for serious criminals with mental illnesses, where he became the youngest inmate in its history. The 14-year-old's own family said he should never be granted freedom. However, in 1970, Broadmoor psychiatrist Edgar Udwin suggested it was time for Young to have a second chance, as he was no longer obsessed with poisons, violence and mischief, and no longer a danger to others. They were words that would carry a deadly weight, as Young was then released from Broadmoor in 1971 after 8 years there. It later emerged he had told a nurse, "When I get out, I'm going to kill one person for every year I've spent in this place." Young, now 23, moved to a grotty bedsit in Hemel Hempstead. He stole a scrap of notepaper from the nearby Bedford College and headed to a chemist where he bought 25 g of antimony potassium tartrate, of which a strong dose can cause heart attacks, by claiming he was a student who needed the substance for a study. In February 1971, Young relocated to a hostel in Sippenham, on the outskirts of Slough. There, he attended a training course where he learned how to keep inventories of items and companies. He befriended 34-year-old Trevor Sparks at his hostel and snuck poison into a glass of his water. The other man fell violently ill with diarrhea and a strange pain in his testicles. He tried to treat the pain with milk of magnesia, an over-the-counter treatment for stomach issues. Sparks left Slough in April and made what he thought was a miraculous recovery from his strange illness, only to find out months later, ahead of Young's trial, that he'd been targeted by a serial killer and narrowly survived. After completing his training course, Young got a job at John Hadland Laboratories in Bovington working as an assistant storekeeper. His employers didn't know he was a convicted poisoner, and Young claimed the large gap on his CV was due to a nervous breakdown. Within months of his arrival, workers across the company were struck down by an illness which soon became known as the Bovington bug. Young's duties were varied, but one role he had was pushing the tea trolley. Bob Eggle, a storeroom manager at the laboratories and World War II veteran, was one of first people secretly poisoned by Young. The 59-year-old was rushed to St. Albans City Hospital in June 1971 after his body